Hi, and welcome to our brand new YouTube series that we are starting called What's That? We're going to be looking at items in our museum's collection. So here at the Lakeshore Museum Center we have over 50,000 items, a lot of which none of us have ever seen before. So what we're going to do is we're going to be picking some lucky people that are going to come and get a tour of our collections facility, and then they're going to select 3 random artifacts from our collections database, and we're going to check them out and see what there is. So welcome to What's That? So here we are with Brenda, our collections curator, and then our first lucky person to pick it out is museum staff member Melissa. So she is going to be randomly searching through our Past Perfect database and select our 3 artifacts. So hopefully she gets us something really neat to check out.
I'm closing my eyes for real, and I'm just gonna stop. Oops, I gotta click on something, don't I?
So
the first thing is a petticoat.
There we go. Okay, it doesn't even have a photo, so we don't know what it's gonna be.
Oh. So some type of petticoat. We'll have to see what it's gonna look like, what condition it is. All right, artifact number 2. Hopefully one of our 3 will be something really neat and exciting. Good long scroll from Melissa, really making it random.
Oh.
This is a projectile point.
Ooh. And Melissa happens to be our museum expert on projectile points, so this is pretty handy.
Okay.
Okay, and then one more.
Our last one.
Okay, I'm gonna go for a while.
Why don't you grab the scroller bar on the side and we can really...
What is this? I don't know what that is.
A trade sign.
Trade sign, okay.
Huh.
So check it out, see what business it might be for. So we never know what we're going to get on these. We could have some really interesting, exciting, historically important things, or it could just be your everyday Muskegon items.
Alright, never heard of that one. I've never heard of it either.
Alright, so we're here with Brenda checking out our first item, our petticoat. So Brenda's actually putting on her gloves right now. And Brenda, why do you do that?
We wear gloves in a museum, either white cotton gloves or these nitrile gloves to protect the objects from us, but also protect us from the objects. So we might wear coats or gloves just to make sure that nothing is going to contaminate the object, which might contribute to it slowly disintegrating. So fingerprints, I think most people today are familiar with the fact that they're not good for objects. All the oils get transferred. So we always wash our hands, put gloves on, and protect our clothes too from the objects. So we're going to get the box out, and luckily it's in a very easy spot. All of our boxes are acid-free and tissue wrap that we wrap textiles in, and that protects the objects as well. And we got a lot. All right, so this is the petticoat that Melissa selected. It looks like a white cotton with some lace work on it. And a nice lining, some beautiful embroidery. It is.
So what do you think of your artifact, Melissa, your first one?
I'm thinking whoever wore it had a very skinny waist, or...
Well, it's got a drawstring
Yeah.
on the back, so it is machine sewn. Yeah. So it's all machine sewn, so it's not, probably somebody that could afford that, a sewing machine. And this piece, I can tell by the number, would have been part of the Hackley and Hume historic sites. So when the museum took over those 2 buildings, they got everything that was in there. And so we have a lot of pieces, hundreds, I think almost, well, over 1,000 individual items from both the Hackley house and the Hume house. And they're from different time periods. Some of them we know where they came from and who wore them. Others we don't, like this. We don't know where it really came from or who owned it. But it doesn't mean that it's not an important artifact and it doesn't have its own unique history.
So what exactly would a petticoat do for the person wearing it? Was it an underlayer?
Yeah, it would have been worn under a long dress. This one actually isn't that long. just as an extra protective wear for ladies in the early 19th century, late 1800s.
So Melissa, you ready to put it on?
Yeah. I don't know that I'd fit in that one. It is pretty though, and I've never seen it before, so. Because some curator who was really awesome wrote all the names on the boxes.
I know, that's very helpful. Okay.
That would have been me.
So there are 27 projectile points in here. Yeah, right here.
Right. Yeah. And you can tell they have glue on the back, so they were stuck to some sort of mounted, probably framed. A lot of people in the 20s and 30s like to frame them and display them.
So because they were most likely mounted on a board, somebody in the history of the museum took them off, which may or may not be the best way. In this case, it probably was the best move for it, to store it, to make sure there's nothing caustic on the back that's going to lead to degradation over time. But stone tools are pretty tough. They can take a lot of changes in humidity and temperature over time, which is something more fragile objects like a petticoat wouldn't be able to do. So these projectile points were donated in 1939, actually October 21st, 1939. So it's the anniversary of its donation. Yeah, there you go.
Brilliant.
And it would have been part of the original museum. So back in 1937, when the museum opened, we have a ledger of everything that was collected by the museum. And sometimes the descriptions aren't the best. Like this one says 1 mount of Indian artifacts. And then later on, more information was added from curators who knew what they were talking about and could actually identify where the projectile points came from.
So Melissa, since this is kind of your thing there, any more information you can give us about these points as far as period or who might have used them?
Not knowing exactly where they're from. I don't know if they're from Michigan, from Ohio, from Indiana. So there's not a lot we know because that information didn't come in with the donation. So that makes it a little bit more difficult, even to date them.
Okay. And there's Melissa's object.
Madonna House. It almost
Is
looks like there was something. Oh, that's welcome up there. It used to say welcome.
Yeah.
Madonna House.
I have no idea what the Madonna House is.
And there's nothing in the record about what it was either.
So this object has a found in collection number. So unfortunately, a lot of times in museums, sometimes you stumble across something in your collection and it has no physical number attached to it, which is a problem. And so as a way to handle that, museums often will give them an individual number, have a different type of number to distinguish it as something that we don't know where it is. We don't have paperwork for it. We don't have any history on it. So with something like this, if I were to come across it in the collection, the first thing I would do would be to Google it to try to find out what the Madonna House is, which I think is something anybody would do, right?
Maybe somebody will watch this and they'll know and they'll tell us what the Madonna House was because they remember.
Curators are just like us. We Google things. And yeah, if it was something anywhere in Muskegon County or in Muskegon itself.
So our third artifact here, kind of a bust, kind of not.
Whoa!
More
Depends on what
research
we find
into
out
it.
about it.
Yeah, could be really
Nothing is
neat.
a bust.
So if you want to be our next person here on What's That, what you need to do is be a museum member. So there's a link below for our website if you're not a member. If you are a member, leave a comment below in the video as well, and you'll have a chance to be selected to either pick artifacts here at our collections center or at our archives building as well.